before the end of the day today. Meanwhile, Week 11 college football ratings came out. I usually just kind of take a look at the top 5 here, but the number one most watched game, not a big shocker here, 9.16 million viewers for Michigan and Penn State.
You wonder if Connor Stallions was a part of it.
Yeah, well, nearly everybody else was apparently here. But yeah, that noon window, Michigan and Penn State on Fox, 9.16 million viewers. That is that's the first, I guess the latest college football game, the sixth largest, or the latest to top 9 million, but the sixth largest audience of the season. So, yeah, a big number there, and a huge drop-off to number 2, but also a Fox broadcast, Utah and Washington, which was a 3:30 kickoff, 5.17 million people. So that back-to-back for Fox, man, that's nearly 15 million people watching your back-to-back football games. Not a bad deal there between Michigan, Penn State, and Utah, Washington.
Yeah, that's a nice little swing right there. And I mean, the number was always going to be huge for Michigan and Penn State, but I do think there's probably a little bit of hate watching in there.
To that? Yeah.
A little bit of like, oh, how are they going to do? This is the first time it was going to be interesting to watch Michigan at all. Like they're challenged. Not that if you're not a fan or you want to watch just a good team play, because they are a really good team, but a Michigan game can get boring in a hurry.
Yes.
Because it's 31-0 at halftime. You're like, well, they don't even have to throw a pass anymore. Like they really don't have to hand off. They could just take snaps and fall forward for the rest of the time. They're going to win this game. So this one was at least until the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
At least where Penn State, if they could have, mustered a big couple of plays, been right back in the game. But after the about the 8-minute mark in the third quarter, you thought, I think Michigan's got this.
Well, they definitely think they had some hate watching going on. So, yeah, 9.16 there, 5.17, the second most watched, Utah, Washington. That was back-to-back on Fox. And then ESPN had Ole Miss and Georgia, 4.83 million for that one. Miami FSU, 4.14 million over on ABC. And then Tennessee, Missouri, the fifth most watched game, 3.62 million over on CBS. Had 3.57 for Michigan State, Ohio State, 3 million for USC and Oregon over on Fox. So again, another big weekend for Fox, but just spread out. And the Big Ten, you can obviously see why they got the big TV contract with the big brands and all that, but the big audiences too. Especially that Michigan-Penn State game. That's a monster number, nearly scratching 10 million. Top game in the Big 12. And this is something, man, when you talk about the Big 12 and their TV ratings and whatnot moving forward, when you subtract Texas and Oklahoma, you wonder where a lot of the numbers are going to come from. But Texas and TCU, the top watched game in the Big 12, 2.82 million people tuned in for that one. I think every Texas game, like you started.
And that was a night game, right?
It was 7:30.
Good, yeah.
282 for that one. So not a giant number by any means, still top 10-ish. But then Bama, Kentucky at 276, but then West Virginia, Oklahoma, 239 million. So you have to go to Oklahoma State and UCF, which would be like top 15-ish for the top new Big 12 number, and that was a little over 1 million, 1.21 million. Iowa State, BYU had like 943K. Tech and Kansas had 780K. So that is something to be mindful of when you look at the TV ratings moving forward. It's also always interesting to see at the bottom of like certain games broadcast on ESPNU in particular, like Rice UTSA, 22,000 people. 22,000 people tuned into that one, so just a huge difference, and you see in the brands right there. But yeah, a little look at the ratings, and I wonder who the Big 12, the ones with the lead are going to be as far as the TV ratings go moving forward.
First of all, who was playing against Texas and TCU? Because that seemed like a little bit
Michigan
of a
State, Ohio State.
Well, there you go.
Yes,
Ohio State
and Virginia, Louisville.
Yeah, okay.
So that was a pretty jam-packed window.
I think.
And West Virginia OU, technically. It started a half hour earlier, but that was also ongoing.
I think that I speak for all of us in the ACC that are trying to leave, in that Florida State and Miami get better so that number can go up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, 4.4 is good. Like, that game... Back in that, like, if you took the 90s games of that and put it now, that game would be getting 12 million people. It was that, like, important of a game. And now it's just a third of probably what it should be.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's fair, as he points out, the other games that are ongoing and how that matters. So that Florida State Miami game, it gets over 4 million, which that's healthy. I mean, I think, baseline for like Texas and Oklahoma is like a little over 2.
Yeah.
You'd say that's kind of the start. Michigan as well. Michigan's probably like 3, actually.
I would think, Texas OU close to 2.5, 3 baseline.
Baseline,
and they're going to get into the 6 to 8 depending on who they're playing. And Michigan probably more like 3 to 4.
And that's why it will be fascinating to see the SEC ratings next year when you have like Texas LSU as just a week 4 game, or week 5 game, or Oklahoma Georgia week 9 or whatever it may be. That's going to be some pretty massive numbers. But yeah, Florida State Miami, that was going up, Paul, against Utah Washington.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Missouri was also on at that time. Oklahoma State, UCF, that had over 1 million, and so on and so forth. But yeah, Michigan, Penn State, the top getter by nearly double, 9.16 million there. All right, a couple of